The story begins with a young boy named Jirou Azuma returning home after getting bullied yet again. He complains about it to a feline, saying that the bullies keep calling him a weird animal whisperer. He argues that they always treat him as if he is different from everyone else. The elderly cat granny, Nachai, tries to comfort him by explaining that being different is actually something beautiful, because it means he has talents that are unique to him and no one else. Jirou replies that he does not really understand what she means, but the feline granny assures him that he will understand once he grows up. The story then moves ahead a few years, and as usual, Jirou finds himself dealing with another group of bullies who are harassing some animals. They boast that their senpai is the leader of the Demon League and warn him not to mess with them. Jirou only provokes them further by calling them a bunch of weaklings who hide behind someone else. Their boss throws a punch at our boy, but Jirou easily dodges it before knocking him straight into the water with a kick, telling him that it is Utsusemi. Seeing their big bad sugar daddy boss get beaten so effortlessly, the other two bullies panic, but they still charge at him anyway. They end up meeting the exact same fate, and before long, all three bullies are seen climbing out of the water and running away like a bunch of crybabies. After they leave, a cat and a crow thank Jirou for saving them from the bullies, but they also worry that the gang might come after him next. Jirou reassures them, saying that he is already used to dealing with this kind of trouble. He then heads back home after telling the animals to stay out of trouble as much as they can. As soon as he arrives at his dojo, an old man immediately scolds him for getting into yet another fight. The old geezer yells that he did not teach Jirou the shinobi martial arts so he could run around acting like a street punk and picking fights wherever he pleased. Jirou fires back by calling the old man an ancient dinosaur, only for the old geezer to respond by throwing ninja blades at him, which our boy barely manages to dodge. The old man then proudly shows him his family's ancient heirloom, explaining that it was personally gifted to their ancestors by the shogun and trying to make Jirou respect his family's lineage. Jirou, however, casually dismisses it as nothing more than a harmless fake, prompting the old geezer to slash everything around him in frustration. Later, Jirou is left repairing the damaged doors while complaining that the old man is nothing but a crazy fossil. Once he finishes, the old man tells him that he is heading out to a festival and will be back late. Just after he leaves, the same crow from earlier comes flying in while shouting that a cat is in trouble deep inside the woods. Without questioning it for a second, Jirou immediately rushes off to help. Deep in the forest, he finds a badly wounded cat lying on the ground and gently tries speaking to it to see if it can still respond. Meanwhile, inside the cat's mind, a dark spirit named Ragou, known as the Black Star of Doom, wonders who is calling out to him. Ragou hears a voice telling him to awaken and lend over his power, but he angrily refuses, declaring that he takes orders from no one. The mysterious voice coldly tells him to rot away and perish if he refuses to obey. As the story moves forward, Ragou suddenly wakes up inside Jirou's room in the body of the cat. Just then, Jirou walks into the room and tells the cat that he was in pretty bad shape and honestly thought he would not survive. He brings him some food and asks for his name. When the cat stays silent, Jirou keeps trying to get him to speak, saying that even stray cats have names. Ragou calls the boy an idiot, arguing that he would not understand him even if he meowed. However, Jirou possesses the rare talent of talking to animals and immediately asks the cat if he really thinks he is an idiot. Completely caught off guard, Ragou panics and quickly hides under the sofa, while Jirou calmly tells him that he is not planning to eat him. The cat stubbornly refuses to come out until Jirou brings out his ultimate weapon, a bowl of cat food, which immediately lures him into the open. Ragou admits that the saying is true that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. When Jirou teases him for calling himself a man despite being a cat, the cat angrily shouts that he is not a cat. He then introduces himself by name and explains that he is an immortal mononoke. Jirou, however, could not be more clueless and admits that he has no idea what a mononoke even is. Ragou explains that mononoke can take human form or choose to live deep in the mountains and forests on their own. Jirou then asks what an immortal mononoke like him was doing beaten up in the middle of the woods. Ragou realizes that the boy is genuinely not pretending to be clueless and explains that he was attacked by another mononoke, adding that he had been asleep for a very long time before waking up. All Ragou remembers is waking up and being asked to lend his assistance. He explains explains that he refused the request, which is probably why the others ganged up on him and left him in that state. When Jirou asks why he turned them down, Ragou explains that he hates parasites who hide their own weakness behind the strength of others. The cat then insists that Jirou is only a human, so there is no way he could truly understand what he is talking about. Jirou admits that he might not completely understand, but that still is not a reason for him to distrust the cat. Meanwhile, a woman named Kishimajin reports back to headquarters. There, she contacts Shiba, who asks what she has found. The woman reports that she discovered traces of Ragou's blood in the woods and believes the cat could not have gotten very far. Shiba orders her to pull back, saying he will send reinforcements instead. As she camouflages herself within the forest, another creepy-looking man quietly appears from behind a nearby tree. Back at Jirou's house, our boy is giving the newly rescued stray a bath. Seeing that all of his injuries have already healed, he remarks that Ragou was not joking about being a mononoke after all. The cat gets irritated, realizing that Jirou had not actually believed his story until now. Jirou then starts talking about the old feline granny, Nachai. He tells the stray cat that she was the kindest cat he could have ever asked for. He teases Ragou by saying that Nachai was so nice that she was basically his complete opposite. Jirou explains that back then he used to get bullied every single day, and whenever he came home, he would always give Nachai a bath. Nachai would happily thank him and say how lucky she was to have an owner who would bathe her whenever she wanted. She always told the boy that he had been given the gift of helping others and encouraged him to share that gift with everyone around him. That night, while Jirou is asleep, Ragou quietly tries to sneak away. However, the moment he jumps down, he suddenly finds Jirou standing right behind him. The unexpected sight scares the life out of the cat, who immediately asks how he got down there so quickly. Jirou tells him to keep his voice down since it is already very late at night. He then explains that the person upstairs was actually just his decoy technique before asking where the cat thinks he is going when he has not even fully recovered yet. Ragou bluntly tells him that it is none of his business, but Jirou reminds him that he is the one who saved his life. The cat insists that he never asked to be saved and says he would have been fine with dying. Jirou immediately gets angry and tells him to stop talking about death like that. Ragou, however, loses his temper as a massive black aura bursts out around him while he warns the kid that his neck could be the next thing he scratches. The cat declares himself to be a man-eating specter and reminds Jirou that he is a mononoke. Just then, the same creepy giant from earlier suddenly appears, revealing that he has been searching for Ragou all along. Jirou immediately calls the huge guy a douchebag and asks what he is doing here without an invitation. He admits that he has no idea who the man is, but says he is already getting on his nerves. Without another word, the giant suddenly grows horns as his arms transform before charging straight at Jirou to kill him. Ragou instantly leaps in to protect the boy, then leads the giant away into the woods as the monster chases after him. The cat tries to put some distance between himself and the giant, but the monster remarks that he was told Ragou was badly weakened and never expected him to have recovered this much already. In the next instant, he appears right in front of the cat and slams him into the ground, mocking the so-called legendary mononoke as nothing more than a pathetic weakling. The giant tells Ragou that he is taking him back, insisting that his group worked hard to break the seal that had imprisoned him and even calling him their comrade. Ragou immediately tells him to drop the act because he already knows they are only after his powers. He boldly tells the giant to come and take them if he can before getting fired up himself, determined to put the arrogant monster back in his place. The two charge straight at each other, but while they are still clashing in midair, our boy suddenly arrives with his family's ancient heirloom and slices off the giant's arm. Ragou gets worried seeing Jirou jump into the fight, but the boy insists that if the cat dies now, saving him would have been for nothing. The giant suddenly gets excited and starts bulking up, while Jirou continues arguing with Ragou that there is nothing wrong with helping someone. By this point, the monster has completely transformed into his terrifying true form, and even praises the boy for not being intimidated after seeing it. He also realizes that Jirou knows shinobi techniques and says he is going to enjoy finishing him off. For a brief moment, Jirou manages to dodge the monster's attack and prepares to strike back, but the giant suddenly drives one of his massive claws straight through the boy's chest. Even in such a miserable state, Jirou refuses to give up and keeps fighting back. He manages to break free, earning praise from the giant monster for his impressive shinobi skills. Ragou slowly walks over to the boy as he lies on the ground at death's door. The monster tells the cat that he might as well hand the boy over since he is already full and has no use for him as a meal. Ragou glares at him with fury and declares that he is the one who is going to die. The cat calls Jirou an idiot for not even realizing that he left his place and lured the monster away just to save him. He says that if the boy dies now, all those efforts would have been for nothing. Ragou admits that eating Jirou would allow him to regain his original strength, but he refuses to take orders from a filthy good-for-nothing demon. Instead, he decides that Jirou will be the one to eat him as a way of returning the favor for saving his life. The cat then transforms into a cloud of black mist and enters Jirou's body, forcing the boy's eyes to snap open. At the same time, Kishimogen and Shiba notice a massive black aura rising high into the sky. Shiba immediately orders everyone to head toward its location. While the giant monster curses Ragou for making such a choice, he angrily shouts that Ragou handed his powers over to a human instead of another mononoke and accuses him of abandoning his own kind. Meanwhile, Jirou gets back on his feet and notices the strange mark left on his chest where he had been stabbed. Ragou tells him that he can fight now, but the completely confused Jirou asks what just happened. The cat tells him to stop worrying about that for now and focus on the battle instead. The monster immediately attacks before Jirou can get the hang of the new powers he gained after fusing with Ragou. The cat lends the boy his strength and simply tells him that all he needs to do is make a fist. Jirou follows the instruction, throws a single punch, and sends the demon straight to hell for good. Before he can even process what just happened, a blade suddenly stops right next to his neck. Kishimogen and Shiba confront him. While Shiba admits that he never expected something like this to happen, Jirou asks whether they are working with the demon, but Shiba quickly explains that they are not mononoke. Just then, the rest of their allies drop their camouflage, and their leader introduces them as members of the Bureau of Espionage. Joking that they are basically just civil servants, he tells Jirou that he will explain everything later, but for now they have to take him into custody. The boy immediately tries to protest, but Kishimogen knocks him unconscious before he can finish. Shiba tells her to take it easy, but she replies that it is only temporary. Shiba then orders her to get Jirou to a hospital because they cannot afford to let him die now, calling him an important person after having fused with a mononoke. The two officers assigned to carry Jirou away begin arguing with each other about how the guy might be possessed and end up hurting them. Seeing them waste so much time, Kishimogen simply grabs one of his legs and starts dragging him away. Later, Jirou finds himself inside a dream. He remembers trying to save a black cat and ending up with a hole in his chest after being attacked by a creepy ogre. Just as Ragou points at the wound in his chest, the boy suddenly wakes up. He finds Kishimogen sitting beside him, who informs him that he has been asleep for more than a day and a half before calling her boss, Shiba, to let him know. While she is talking to Shiba, Ragou suddenly appears on top of Jirou, nearly scaring the lady. As Shiba walks toward the room, he complains to himself about how his junior abruptly hung up on him before entering the room and hearing the three of them shouting at one another. Shiba tells the boy that he is glad he is alright, but when he asks the cat how he is doing, Ragou tells him to ask questions only after learning some manners. Shiba does not sense any hostility from Ragou, which relieves him because the situation is not as bad as he had expected. He apologizes for not introducing himself properly and says that his name is Ryosuke Shiba, while his subordinate is Ikika Kishimogen. Just as he is about to explain the organization they work for, Jirou mentions it himself, leaving Shiba impressed by his memory. After the boy reminds him that he had promised an explanation, Shiba asks whether he knows about the Oniwaban. Apparently, our boy has heard of them as undercover agents who served the Edo shogunate. This catches the man by surprise even more since he never expected the boy to know that either. He then explains that although the shogunate has changed, it is now known as the Bureau of Espionage, an undercover intelligence agency. Apparently, the Bureau of Espionage exists to track down and eliminate mononoke. He adds that since these creatures rarely cause any major trouble, most of the organization's work involves protecting VIPs and investigating dangerous groups. He further explains that capturing him was fairly easy because their organization specializes in dealing with mononoke. It also becomes clear that Ragou had been sealed by these people until a group of mononoke attacked them. After he has shared enough, the officer pulls out a cigarette and says that it is now Jirou's turn to answer their questions. Ikika immediately starts shouting after learning that the guy first saved one mononoke and then ended up fighting another. Jirou fires back, saying that she cannot understand because she was never in his shoes. Meanwhile, the calm Officer Shiba quietly worries about what he is even supposed to write in his report. Officer Shiba then explains that they currently have no way of reversing the fusion between Jirou and the mononoke, so they are going to keep him in custody to protect both him and others from the remaining mononoke. When Jirou complains that they cannot do something like this, Shiba argues that he simply has no choice in the matter. He further informs the boy that the police have already filed a missing person report for him and that they have taken care of all the necessary arrangements. He bluntly adds that his team has no obligation to protect his personal rights and that, as an adult, he should take responsibility for the consequences of his own actions. Ryusuke Shiba then tells him that he will be transferred to a different facility tomorrow. Before leaving, he informs the boy that guards are stationed outside his room to keep him safe, and that he is free to use the towel and clothes kept inside the closet. Ikika gives the boy one last stare before walking out of the room. As he lies down on the bed, Jirou tells himself that these so-called guards feel more like prison wardens than protectors. He also finds it strange that someone locked away in solitary confinement has been reported as missing, making him think about the old man back at his home. Just when the boy feels like he has had enough, Ragou starts lecturing him once again. He tells him there is no point crying over spilled milk and says that he has gotten himself into a huge mess. He keeps rambling about how hopeless the situation has become since Jirou has now fused with a mononoke, and the people who captured a mononoke are never going to go easy on him. After listening to all that non-stop nonsense, Jirou finally gets overwhelmed and shouts at the cat to shut up. He argues that everyone keeps acting as if they already have everything figured out, then stands up and declares that he is going to break out of solitary confinement. Ragou immediately gets nervous, but Jirou tells him that he only plans on beating a few people up. Looking out of the window, he spots several crows and decides to get their help. He lets out a loud cry, causing the guards to rush inside to check on him. While the guards struggle to protect themselves from the flock of attacking crows, Jirou slips away without any trouble. As he makes his escape, Jirou excitedly comments that convincing his crow buddies is surprisingly easy. After getting far enough away, the boy thanks the crows for saving him and gives them the snacks he promised. Even the crows are happy to help because they were bored and wanted something exciting to do. After rewarding them for their help, the boy decides to visit the old man at his house, who is actually his grandfather. Ragou asks the boy what he plans on telling the old man, to which Jirou replies that everything will be fine as long as he plays it cool. He asks Ragou to disappear and is just about to open the door when his grandpa suddenly appears behind him and comments on how he left without telling anyone. The boy tries to explain that things became complicated, but he quickly finds himself at a loss for words. The old man then tells him to follow him and leads him to a running stadium. Once they arrive there, the grandpa says that nobody will interrupt them here before landing a punch squarely on Jirou's face and sending him flying. Before Jirou can even complain, the old man starts scolding him over everything he has done. He tells the boy that Shiba has already informed him about how he has fused with a mononoke and that the Bureau of Espionage is now after him. When the boy asks how he knows all of this, it is revealed that his grandfather used to be a member of the Bureau. Hearing that, the black cat reveals itself. After seeing the cat, the old man says that although he was uncertain before, seeing it has now convinced him of what must be done. Apparently, the old geezer intends to commit a homicide before taking his own life, calling it a responsibility he has to fulfill because he refuses to let either the Bureau or another mononoke exploit his grandson. The old man comes at him with his full strength as he literally leaps high into the air before coming back down with a powerful kick that the boy barely manages to dodge. Ragou admits that the old geezer is pretty ruthless, to which the boy proudly replies that he is his grandpa after all. Jirou argues that this is the angriest he has ever seen the old man, but just then he gets beaten up and slammed away. The boy barely manages to get back on his feet with blood running down his face. The old man then explains that his martial arts have been perfected to the point where they are deadly against both humans and mononoke. Apparently, he only taught the basics to his grandson, believing that they would be enough for self-defense while deliberately leaving out the advanced techniques. He now regrets teaching him even that much and says that he will make amends by destroying everything. Seeing the boy completely defenseless, the old man charges at him once again, but at the very last moment Ragou steps in and saves him. Ragou tells the boy that he will help because there is no way he can handle this fight alone, but the boy orders the mononoke not to come out until he tells him to. This reminds the old man of a time when the dog Nachai hurriedly told him that the boy was in danger and urged him to hurry. When the old man reached the woods, he found his son standing on a tree while trying to rescue a cat that could not climb back down. As expected, the boy fell from the tree, but the old man caught him before he hit the ground. Later that day, as the old geezer snaps back to the present, he reminds the boy that this is not some kind of training session but a fight to the death, explaining that this is the world the boy has chosen for himself. Saying this reminds the old geezer of the time when he fought Mononoke alongside his pet dog, Nachai. Apparently, the old geezer never wanted to drag his grandson into this kind of life, but now that it has already happened, he believes he has no other choice. The boy apologizes, but the old man insists that he has no regrets. He declares that he will clean up his own mess before throwing another punch. This time, the boy takes the attack head-on with his forehead and gets sent flying backward. While still in midair, the boy steadies himself before landing firmly on his feet. The old man asks the boy if this is really his way of showing his resolve. Insisting that he is still only half a man, the boy reminds his grandpa that he was the one who taught him to ask someone else for help, then tells him that he simply followed his advice while pointing out that the one he asked for help is Ragou. The old geezer realizes that his grandson does not care whether it is a mononoke or not and finally lets the matter go. He insists that no matter what happens, he is certain that his grandson will never change. He then leaves the battlefield while waving a white cloth in surrender and calling him a fool.
You don't got a science, girl. Oh, yeah. I heard that you